All right. Welcome to episode 7 of 3 Minutes of Growth, and staying in this masculinity conversation. In this episode, we're going to talk about what boys need from dads to be emotionally healthy. Yesterday, we talked about what they need from their mothers, and it helps to understand what boys are afraid of the most when it comes to men. What we're afraid of is that we'll be thrown away by our men. If we get too emotional, we're going to get ostracized. We're told by a lot of the men that we look up to in society that if you are emotional, you're a little girl, or you're a pussy, or you're weak. And that kind of messaging tells us, don't do that, otherwise we're going to throw you away. And the need to belong it's primal for all of us, and we don't want to do anything to mess up our favor with our men. So that's one of the reasons why we're afraid to be emotional, because we don't want to get thrown away by our dads or by our male figures. And so one of the things that is super important is that we teach our boys that not only is it okay to be emotional, but it doesn't make you any less of a man. In fact, it makes you more of a healthy man to be emotional. So we don't want to only we don't want to only make being emotional okay. We want to celebrate it. We want to point out other men who are emotional or vulnerable. And this doesn't always mean just cry. I'm just talking about being healthy emotionally, instead of trapping everything inside and, at some point raging on people. So we want to celebrate that when you are an emotional, vulnerable man, you're actually more of a man. You're not at risk of getting thrown away. You are more of what you're wanting. And celebration is another level above just saying that it's okay. Another thing is we got to redefine what being a man even is. We have this idea, although this is never explicitly taught. That's the other thing about our society. We don't have any rituals for being a man. If you ask most people, and I'd love to hear from all the men watching this, what does it mean to actually be a man? In some cultures, there's a ritual that says when you turn this age, you do this thing and then you become this man. And sometimes there's a celebration around it. We don't know what being a man is. Does it mean having sex with a bunch of girls? Does it mean being super successful and driving a Porsche? Or does it mean having a lot of money? We don't know. We don't have a definition of what it means to be a man. So we need to clearly define that definition, and it can't be based on just performance. It can't be based on being strong and having huge muscles and always having control and always being powerful, because there's just too much pressure in that. So we need to redefine that being a man doesn't have anything to do with your performance. You don't have to perform for me in order for me to respect you. I'm going to respect you just because you are a person. And vulnerability needs to be part of that conversation and definition, because we're all vulnerable as humans. And vulnerability inside of masculinity is its strongest form, meaning vulnerable masculinity has a protective nature mixed with love that is so important for little boys to feel. And so we need male nurturing. That's what we need. We need our dads to sit us on our laps and say, son, I love you, period. Not because you got good grades, not because you came first in the race, not because you hit that home run, because you're my son, because you're alive, because you're a boy, because you try. That's what we need. You see the emotion coming up in me, because that's not the message that we're given. We're given the message that you're enough if you can perform for us. You're enough if you can bench press 250 pounds. You're enough if you can run faster than all the other kids. And the opposite side of that message is, if you can't, then you're not. And so when we can't do that, when we can't uphold the weight of the world with all this pressure, then the emotions get trapped and somebody's going to feel that. And when men are emasculated by their fathers first, my theory is they tend to then, use their negative, unhealthy masculinity on other boys in the form of bullying or just unhealthy competition or something to kind of get back at the first offense. So there's so much more to talk about this, but I'm trying to keep these videos somewhat short. I know this one's probably over 3 minutes. Please let me know your thoughts. Share this if you have people that you think would benefit, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.